Hello, and welcome to How to Change a Tire 101. There's no perfect way in being able to change a tire, but over the years I developed some techniques that help me tremendously that I'd like to share with you, especially if you're a first-time tire changer or you have difficulty changing tires. Hopefully the step-by-step processes that I'm going to share with you will help you in changing your tires. Now, for people that starting off changing tires, this can be very intimidating because there's an awful lot of steps that you have to take in being able to successfully change your tire and not risk bursting your tire once you change it. But let me reassure everybody that it's really not that hard. Just be very comfortable in what you're doing, and it's going to be second nature. If you practice at least one time a month changing your tires, it'd be very easy for you to do it in the future. So please, by all means, don't let this intimidate you. Now, before we start changing the tire, we'd like to say a little bit about tires in general. Most tires have a tire rating system. On this particular brand, the tire rating maximum pressure that you can put in this tire is 130 per square inches. So as long as you put less than 130 per square inches, this tire is going to be held up very well, and there's less chance of it bursting. If you exceed your maximum pressure, you have the problem of the tire bursting on you. So make sure that you check your tire rating, see what the maximum pressure is, and stay within that specifications, and you'll have fewer flat tires to change. Now, in this particular demonstration, I want to concentrate on rear wheel changes. That's why I have the sprockets here. And the reason I want to do the rear wheel is because there's a few extra steps that you want to keep into consideration when you take your wheel off from your bike. And that's basically what I want to go ahead and share with you. So let's go ahead and do the scenarios. There's two different types of flats that can happen. The first type of flat is that you're cruising down the road, and then suddenly, wham, you hit something very hard, big rock, railroad tracks, 2x4 that's laying on the ground. If you hitting it with such force, the tire, what's happening to the tire is that it's going down, and as it's going down, the tube inside is rubbing against the rim of your tire, and it has so much force on it, it's causing it to pinch, and you'll have like a snake bite on either side of the tire, and that's a good indication that you had a blunt force flat. Now, these are the easiest to fix because all you really have to do is just check the outside to make sure that the tire hasn't been destroyed, and then you can just change the tube. You don't really have to do a real close inspection. The second type of flat that you may encounter, and this is more frustrating, is that you kind of cruising down, and then, oh darn, something's strange, and then you notice, oh, I got a flat. Well, in those particular situations, 99% of the time, what you had is a puncture flat. So something sharp, a thorn, a piece of metal or glass, got embedded into your tire, and then it got into your tube, and it made your tire flat. So these you have to be a little bit more careful, and you have to make sure that once you take the tire off, you have to find out where the metal was at and get it out. Now, you can do a visual inspection outside, but sometimes they're really hard to find, so you're going to have to, once you take the tire off, just kind of very gently rub your fingers inside the tire and see if, oh, okay, now I feel it. One thing that you want to be careful about, though, is that whatever is sharp enough to cut the tube of your tire can cut your finger very easily. I know, I've had many years of experience with cuts, so when you rub against inside, be very careful and very gentle, and then you can usually find it if you can't do the outside inspection. I guess we can go ahead and start the demonstration as far as how to change a tire. So let's go ahead and start. We're cruising down the road, and then you hear this very normal sound. I just hate that. But it happens, and don't let it overwhelm you, because now we can go ahead and start the process. If you are really strong fingers and everything, you don't even need tools. You can actually take these off by your own fingers, but unfortunately I don't have the hand strength to take them off. I have the hand strength to put them on, but I can't take it off. So what you can do is buy tire tools, and I strongly recommend that you buy a tool that has a hook on it, because you can put the hook on the spoke, and it makes it so much easier. It won't fall off as you're trying to take the tire off from the rim. And yeah, it's just a really great thing. So now we have a flat. We're about ready to change the tire. We got it off from the bike. This is the easiest way of doing it. With the valve stem, you want the valve stem at the very bottom of your bike, facing up. This is the easiest way to take off the bike tube. If you start off from the valve stem first, the valve stem is going to be in the way, and it's going to be hard to get off. But if you start off from the top, away from the valve stem, all you have to do is just drop the tire down. It's so much more easier that way. A lot of people have trouble and really intimidated by the tire tools, but they're very easy actually in all actuality. All you got to do basically is just slip it in and just let it flip right on in, no problem. So we're going to go ahead and put it on in. And I highly recommend that you at least have 3. You can do as little as 2, even 1, but 3 makes it so much more easier. Now that we have the tires irons inside the tube, all you have to do is just flip it over. You just flip it over and you hook it on into the thing. You see how easy that is? And it's going to hold in place when you get to the other ones. If you don't hook it onto your spoke, it can come back up. That's where the frustration comes with most bikers. Once you get the second one in and it's already inside, now it's just a process. It should be easy enough for you to be able to work your way onto the bike so that you can get it on off. And you just slide it right on off. Okay, so we have the valve stem at the bottom. We're ready to take the tire off. And it just comes off just like that. There's no problem. That's the easiest way that you can do it. Okay, so now that we have the tire off, we're going to go ahead and do our inspection and everything looks fine. We're just going to go ahead and get a new tube. Of course, I'm just going to use the same one. When you get a tube, they're usually very flat, and this is something that I highly recommend. When you go ahead and, even if you have like a CO2 cartridge, go ahead and I highly recommend that you have a bike pump because it makes it so much more easier. So you can use some of the bike pump and then make sure that you don't have to waste too many CO2 cartridges because they always mess up. But if you have a little bit of air in there, that's fine. So to put the tube back into the tire, what you basically want to do is put a little air in the tube. Have a little bit of air in the tube, and you want to put the tube inside the tire first. And the reason why you want to do that first is because you don't want this to twist and turn, because if you do, you're going to weaken your tire, or you might even pinch it in and you'll have to have another flat. So the best way of doing it is just go ahead and just place it inside the tire. Being very careful, making sure that it's not twisting as you're putting it inside, and it's so much more easier once you have air inside the tire. Once it's inside the tube and the valve stem looks like it's in the right position, you can start putting it on the rim. You still have air in the tire. So you want to go ahead and twist this off so you don't lose your air. And now it's going to be opposite. Instead of the rim at the bottom, you're going to have the rim at the top. Because you want to start your valve stem the easiest way, because this is the easiest way. You drop it down, you put it on first inside the rim of the tire. Now, when you put it inside the tire, you don't want to put the whole tire in yet. You want to keep the tube outside of the rim. What you want to basically do is just get the first part of the tire inside of the rim. So you're going to just make a real quick roundabout motion. You're going to have the tire inside the rim, and once it's inside the rim, the first part of the tire is inside the rim and everything's fine. Now this is a little bit off, so we're going to have to kind of adjust it a little bit. You want to make sure that your tube and your valve stem with your spoke is parallel and not perpendicular. So that looks pretty good right there. Now, this is the way it should look like. Half of your tire is on your rim already. Now we're going to start putting the tube inside the tire. And to do that, you're going to use your thumbs and you're going to push up and you're going to push in. So as you're pushing up and pushing in, you're going to start putting your tube inside the rim. That is the easiest way to do it. You don't want to do it in one motion because you're going to put a lot of pressure on your tire. And as you're pushing inside the rim, you just want to make sure that your tube is not twisting as you're putting it inside. Okay, everything's looking real good. Now, what we have to do is put the rest of the tire in. But before we do, you want to go ahead and let all the air out of your tire, because now your tube is inside the rim, so there's less chance of it twisting. And you want this as flat as possible once you put the rest of the tire in, because if you don't, you're going to have an awful lot of problems trying to get it a lot of pressure. And plus you can also damage your tube. So basically what you want to do when you get your tire back on is that you want to do quarter to your right and quarter to your left. And you want to do it with your thumbs again and kind of like your fingers. I'm not going to use a tool to put it completely in because fortunately I have enough body strength. And the reason you want to do this halfway inside the tire is so that you can make sure that this stays parallel. And as long as it's parallel like it is, we can go ahead and finish it on off and it looks fine. So we're going to go ahead and finish putting the tire inside the rim. And now we got it. Everything looks just wonderful. No problems. Okay, now, once we finish that, go to your tube valve stem again and just kind of do a pinching. So we're just kind of pinching it. And we're going to do a very simple pinching, and this helps ensure that the tube and the tire is properly mounted with the rim, and you can kind of feel if there's any knots inside. That's one final thing that you can do to assure that everything's fine. Everything looks just perfectly fine. Okay, now before you use your CO2 cartridge, what I recommend is that you put a little bit of air inside the tire. You don't have to put an awful lot of air, just enough, because that'll make it a lot more easier. It's less chance of this valve stem sliding up. If there's a little bit of pressure in there, it'll be much more easier once you put your CO2 cartridge inside to finish up and putting the air in the rest of your tire. And then that's basically it. It's a really wonderful experience. It's really not that hard. Don't let it intimidate you. Have a lot of fun on the road, and I hope that this information is helpful to you. Try it out, and at least try it at least once a month, and I think it'll be a really wonderful bike changer. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share this information with you, and I hope that it helps you on your voyage as well. Until next time, can't wait to see you on the road, and thank you for this presentation. Goodbye, everyone.